Beautiful.
I worked for Narragansett Legislature for 1 year so they could save enough money because they couldn't pay anything much. But I remember Bishop Mars saying to me, he came over, we had a mortgage on our hands there, and it was large. And I said, the Lord's going to help us liquidate this. And it was $105,000. Dr. Gilton, we burnt that mortgage in 1 year.
Wonderful.
I remember going to the bank, and the guy, he said, what's going on up there? Well, it's called networking. See, I learned a lot. That it was Emmanuel Baptist Church. It was a Catholic church. It was several Lutheran, several of them came together. The first thing they did, Emmanuel hold 3,000, and we were good friends. He held a concert there, and he brought in some fine choirs from the South where he came from, my choirs, one night. So he said, with 3,000 people, you're going to get at least $1, he said. But I'm going to tell you something, you're going to be shocked. So we had it was beautiful. So it was on a Wednesday, my secretary said, there's a envelope here from the treasurer. She wants you to read it. And she says, I already looked at it because you allowed me to. You're going to be shocked from that concert. So I figured $2,000 or $3,000, $15,000 that night.
Whoa.
One night, right down the bank, put it on the mortgage. Then we had other stuff. We raised money ourselves. I said, we got to raise money ourselves. That time it was only 25 people. All right.
Wow.
So when I called Bishop Mars, he dropped the phone. He says, what? We're going to burn the mortgage. I said, yeah, can you come on? I'll be over here like a flash, he said. He could not believe it.
Wow.
So when I moved back to pastor here, he said to me, I need to talk to him, pick your brain. How in the world did you do that? I said, it was God. I prayed about it. He said, network. I didn't know what networking was. I soon found out. And so that's the way we worked in the city. We helped each other. A church burnt, we all come together, help restore that. We didn't care what the name was on the building. That's all God's people. And so that was a big learning experience for me. And so he came over several times and preached for me. He said, I can't believe what's happened here. I said, well, it's God. It's God. Hard work, but it's God. Late Uncle Reg, he loved to hear men sing. Now, when I went there was only 9 men. They came over for Men's Day. I had 65 men singing in that men's chorus.
Wow.
And that wasn't all the men. Uncle Reggie said, good Lord above heaven, look at me. But Pastor Mars said, you've done something I could never done. I said, yes, you can. If God led you over there, he'll give you. I didn't know anything about urban ministry, but I went to Washington, D.C. under the late Samuel G. Hines, Urban Ministry Conference every single year to learn something.
Yes.
I just forgot to mention him. He was a mentor too. He's long gone. But these are the things that you heard him sing it years ago, coming up the rough side of the mountain. But as you're coming up, you may slip, but you keep going.
Right.
And I'm just so thankful for all the ones that was in my life as far as that's concerned. But I was blessed there with good mentors. And the experience, I always told my late pastor, Bishop Mars, I had to move out of Wakefield to learn something. Nothing about you as far as your ministry, but to learn something. Right. So that's why the Lord sent me over there. One of the roughest cities there was. But God worked. He worked. So
that's great. That's great. Okay. And I can tell you grew up in church and as you were out as a teen, did you have other community involvement and were you involved in tribal activities?
No, not too much, because I'll tell you why. I had to go to work at a young age. Okay. And I don't regret that. Right. It helped my mother. So I missed a lot of that. Okay. But I still grew anyway,
Right. Yeah. Right. God gave the increase anyhow.
Yeah, yes, he did. Yes, he did. And But later on, I got to encourage others to do that and support them. And that's what it's all about. Somebody said, well, don't you regret that you couldn't go after school and play ball all of that? No, I don't regret it. I said I would have liked to, but there was other responsibilities. I can remember my uncle saying, you had to become a man before your time. But I've been rewarded for it, though, believe me. Now I can mentor others.
Yes,
and
yes.
Get out of your do nothing.
Yes.
And go out and get a job, do something, you know, because I can't stand a lazy individual.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let me see. Do you, well, and you've told me quite a few stories, so let me go on to the next question. Considering the national, regional, and historical events that took place as you were growing up and afterwards, did any of these events have any impact on you or your family or the community? And I'm thinking about, you know, different things like the civil rights movement or the Narragansett tribe, you know, getting recognized by the federal government, things like that.
Yes, yes. There was a lot of injustice down there.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly the big one was, matter of fact, I was out of state when that happened. My brother-in-law's in Ohio, and he said, your tribe is on TV. I said, what are you talking about? That's when the state troopers invaded them.
Oh, right.
And I said, what is this all about? You know,
you're talking about the smoke shop thing,
yeah,
right?
That's correct. And I said, now look at this. This is giving the tribe a dirty rap and all of this stuff. I understand they should have paid or whatever. I didn't get the full story. But it's the way the governor did at that time.
Yes.
He had this all planned, had them down the road, and then ordered them to storm it.
Right.
And so what that do? It made the tribe look bad. And they didn't help themselves either in any manner. I told them about it when I came back. I said, you didn't handle this right. I said, then you had one of the tribal women go out in a snowstorm and almost died protesting what they did. What did that solve? She could have been dead. That didn't solve anything. Then the civil rights movement. It had to be. There was too much injustice there. Mm-hmm. But then I look at, I've got to elaborate there a minute. I look at what Dr. Martin Luther King did. That was a great man for civil rights. I prayed for him every day. He got beat up, he got stabbed, then he ended up getting shot to death. But the idea is, where are we now in this? Where are we now? He would have never done this violence they're doing, burning stores and burning all of this. It's a younger generation. This doesn't solve the problem. Right. The problem is we got to handle it head on, but do it the right way. Yes, Black Lives Matter. I agree 100%. They're not doing us right. They're shooting us, killing us like animals. But at the same time, you reverse it. Right now in Providence, we're killing our own. What are we doing here? We want civil rights. We got to have civil rights, but we got to have the right leadership, you see. We've got to have somebody that can step up and challenge these younger ones that want to be violent. He stood for non-violence. A lot of things was accomplished, but if we're not careful, we're going right backwards with it. Now, getting back to the police department, there has to be a lot of changes. I mean, come on. You go out there and shoot a man in his back when he's running from you. How's he going to hurt you when he's running from you? Why you put 10 slugs in his back and the policeman gets off the hook? It's his duty. It's hardly wrong. But then the repercussion from that is they go back and retaliate and burn their own stores down, places where they got to eat. It's not the way to solve it. There's a way of doing it. Do it right. Now, I will admit, since Floyd's death, there's been a lot of changes already. People begin to listen to the situation and trying to do something about it. Then there's others are still trying to block what wants to be done. So how do you solve this problem? You come together. Prayer is always the key. Get enough clergy to come around here and really pray and be there and guide these people through this situation. Because violence is never going to do it. I kill you, you're going to kill me. It's really sad. It's really sad. And so, again, we have to be intelligent. We have to be smart on our moves to handle this. And don't get me wrong, there's some are really doing a good job too. They're trying to bring this thing around the right way. But then you see it, they have a peaceful protest. Then somebody comes in from out of state, starts tearing up everything. But they don't look at the good people who've been marching properly and doing the right thing. There's some rotarizers that come in there and do it. So when you organize something, it's got to be done right. And they'll soon get the message. It's going to take a while. Like back in the South, they used to call it Jim Crow.
Yes.
They couldn't do anything. They put them on the chain gang. They did. Man, I had my parishioners in New Haven. Most of them was from down to Darlington, South Carolina. And some of the stories they told me that they had to go through.
Oh, yeah.
But they sustained. They came up north there for a better life. Ended up working in meager places. Next thing you know, they own houses, educating their children at Yale and all these different colleges, but they never had even a high school education. But they had the determination.
That's important.
See, that's very important. And
Yes.
when I heard their life story, I said, we haven't gone through nothing up here. Yes, we had problems, but never like this. I can remember speaking at the senior citizens up on Broad Arc. My wife was in a few years ago, and there was wanting to know about segregation and that. And I told him about me being in the military. I was in Fort Lee, Virginia.
Okay.
And I went to town to eat. And I was with some other soldiers. And I got there and they said, you can't come in this door. You got to go around and eat the other side. And I said, I'm serving my country, but I can't. That's the rule. And I remember them telling us on base, don't get in there because they'll arrest you. But I had some white fellas with me. And they said, what do you mean he can't eat here? He's with us. He's serving. No. So I told him, don't get in any trouble. Don't mess with it. So I didn't bother to go to town. And then I was getting ready to leave there. And I know a store that was there. I wanted to get something for my wife. I got in line, had my merchandise. And when I got up to the register, she said, this register's closed. I said, how can it be closed? You just did the man before me. And she said, I said it's closed. So I went to the next one. Same thing happened. I caught what it was. I said, here's your merchandise. Thank you. But something happened that I never expected. That restaurant that refused me to eat, and it was wrong to do it. Them fellas went back and turned that place upside down.
Wow.
And said, that's what you get when you can't serve one of our men because of the color of his skin. That's what you get. And other things will come down the road. But I witnessed that segregation. Didn't have it up here. Then we had some things, but not like that. You know, I've been in restaurants where they won't serve you now if you're not careful. They'll look at you like you know.
Like you have three heads or something.
That's right. But I told him, but you're going to serve me. I told him, my money's just as good as the next man. And there was a waitress though, but the manager, I knew him. And he came out, he says, I said, yeah, this woman refused to serve me. What? I said, yeah, I was here way before these people. They sat me at my seat. This was New Haven. And and I knew the man very well. We used to take some banquets to his place out in Sovereign Rock, and it was Jimmy's, it was called. He said, that's it. That will never happen again. Went back, and he had her fired. But he said, please go back there because that won't happen again. I don't like that. But so you run across little things.
Right.
What them people went through down there, whew, in them cotton fields and all. I said, no. And yet they stood the test.
Yes.
And they knew they could have a better life up north here. And they came and took jobs we wouldn't take, but ended up on top.
Yeah.
So life has been an experience for me. I'm writing a book, and it's called My Journey. And a lot of that it's going to take me a while, but a lot of it will be in it.
Good.
And I can't wait for it to get finished, but I got a lot of work to do on it yet. I don't have all the time I want to spend on it yet, but.
Right. Well, let me know when you're done and when it's out.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to read it.
I'll make sure you get a copy free.
Okay. Thank you.
I respect you. I always did. Your mother, I know her very well. And yes, indeed. I'd like to see more young women sit down and talk with you so you can mentor them. See, I don't know they'll go to somebody, don't know first base, and give them guidance. It just blows my mind. So
wow.
We got mentors, but we don't use them.
Okay. And we talked and we did talk about Kenneth Moss Sr.
Oh yeah, great man.
And other. Let me see. And I understand that Bishop Kenneth Moss had a brother who was minister at the Indian Church.
Oh yeah. Well, let me elaborate on that. He was my uncle by marriage, Harold Moss.
Harold. Okay.
Yep. I followed him as pastor down there, by the way.
Okay.
But he married my mother's sister.
Oh, okay.
So that's how he become my uncle.
Okay.
Yeah. He pastored that church for quite a while. He was a pastor at Peacedale for a while too, but not up on the hill.
Right.
His brother was in, but he was a pastor when he was on the side of the hill. I know they were on 108.
Right.
Just a one-room building. I can remember as a boy. Pot-belly stove. It was called the Annie Potter property. And that's where they worshiped. And then they bought the land down on Allen Avenue.
Okay.
And they first worship was in the basement. They just had the lower part. That's where my dad's funeral was. I could remember it as day. You know the back steps as you walk down to go in the basement. Right on the wall where his casket was.
Right.
And we all sat there. Then, of course, it began to build up the upper structure and all that. But yes, Harold Moss was a pastor there for quite a while. He'd left Peacedale and went to Rochester, New York.
Okay.
And pastored there for several years.
Right.
And then he came back home and went to the Indian church.
Okay.
And then that's where he retired from. He got real sick. And,
yes.
Yep. So, yes, Peacedale has a rich heritage. Now, wasn't always the family members pastoring. The first one his name was W.W. White. He came from, let me see, where was that? New Jersey. And he was old timer. And he pastored them up for so many years. And then after him, was it Uncle Harold? I think so. No, I think they had lay preachers in between there. Okay. I got the history, but I'm trying to remember it. But then before Reverend Kenneth Moss, Reverend R.J. Taylor was a senior pastor from Wichita, Kansas. And he stayed there for several years. Then he went on to pastor the Church of God in Boston.
Okay.
That's when Reverend Moss took over. He was there for 30-some years.
Okay.
And then, of course, Reverend Harold Lamb followed him.
I remember him.
Yep. Then I came back after he did.
Okay.
Yep. So they've had a rich heritage there, and it grieves me to see how it's ended up, though. I never thought I'd see it like this. Sometimes, and I've told them, I said, sometimes we don't pray enough. You got to make sure the pastor you get fits in the community and able. Now, when I went to New Haven, that's why I said, I had to make sure I could relate to them people in Hamden and Cheshire, and not just the city of New Haven, North Haven, West Haven. So you've got to survey the whole area and see if you're able to carry that on. So, and thanks be to God, we had some students from Yale was coming to the church and other places. And the same thing happened when I stepped down to come back home. I forgot who the young man. It was one of my assistants. But I told the church, don't vote him in, I don't think he's quite ready. And they did. First thing he did, he run all the Yale students away. Wow. And turned it into something. And next thing you know, it went right downhill. I had to go back. I went back with the help of the Lord. Built it back up again. And, but it's been a journey. You work out just like Peacetown now. I remember Reverend Mars said, I was never able to do that. When I first come, Dr. Gilton, there were so many people, morning service, they were standing around on the walls.
Wow.
They were parked all the way down Allen Avenue. Some people wanted to take over, messed it up. People started leaving. I said, Lord, have mercy. So I prayed about it, and I said, I'm going to have to do something here. Just like when you started the library. See, people want to give you problems. Say, we don't want that black. Oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, who's the pastor here, me or you? Say, you can't take away our heritage. You can't do it. And so what do? You didn't want to hear it. So I'm not against it. They're bringing 2 white pastors. And first thing he did was ruin the whole thing.
Yeah.
When Bachman got on the newspaper, I couldn't believe it. He was sitting on a stool in the church, said, I made history. First white pastor in the black church here. Now, what kind of statement is that? No, that's not history. You're tearing down what was history. And it just broke my heart to see it go like that. But God had other plans. The folk like Marge and Mary and all those folk, they came to my house for prayer meeting.
Yes.
I didn't hide nothing. I went right up there and told them. I said, we're having a prayer meeting in my house. Well, the night you got it will interfere with us. Change the night. That's how humble I am. I changed the night. I see him driving by. He did. Gee, you didn't lose nobody. I said, why would I? I said, nobody's from your church anymore. I ain't coming up there saying come to community. And then when I started, Lord told me to start it, I went right up there. I met with him. It was Brother Cap, Brother Richard. And they said, they gave me my blessings. But I forgot who said in there. But you doing that, it's going to hurt us. I said, no, it isn't. I said, let me say this. If God isn't in it, I'll fail. I won't get off of first base. But if he's in it, watch out. And look what he's done. He's done marvelous things for us. And but I feel bad because I've tried to bring them back together. But sorry to say, she thought I wanted to take the church over. I said, I don't want to take no church over. I said, matter of fact, I'd stay away. But I'd just like to see them all come back together.
Which would be good.
Yeah, but she didn't want it. So you don't fuss with people.
Right.
One day, the Lord will rear it back up. But there has to be a lot of changes.
Right.
Now, Judy Venter left. She's down there with me.
Okay.
After all them years. She's a hard worker, boy. Her daughter and her brother that's in Florida, every time he comes up, he's there. It's just sad.
Yeah.
We've got to somehow come together where things can be back the way it was. And but I see though why God wanted me to stop the church. These people wouldn't have been able to go nowhere.
Right.
So, but he said I'll always have a church. And the gates of hell should not prevail. I didn't want to start that at my age. Yeah. Didn't know where I was going. I outgrew the house, but he made a way. He's made a way all the time.
Right. One other person I do want to ask you about. I'm thinking about the role of Harold Cap Smith. You know, just what he's done in the community. Any thoughts about him?
Oh yeah, did a great job. Town council, everything. They didn't like him because he was vocal, and he was for the right.
Yes.
And I enjoyed working with him when I was chairman of the whole Northeast area. He was my treasurer. Excellent job. He did a good job in Peacedale. When I was his pastor, he always said that we never had a crossword. We could sit down if we had indifference and resolve it. And so we had, and everything that I've done with him, I've had a good relationship, even though he is my cousin, but that's even difficult. Pastor Mars was related, and he said, people say, how you two get along? And I will tell you a story about that. I said, because he's the pastor and I'm not. I'm under him. I take well, he had to have an operation. And I remember him coming by the house. He said, well, it's yours. I don't want to hear nothing for at least 2, maybe even 3 months. I'm going to announce to the church that you're the pastor while I'm down. I said, okay. So if you make mistakes, you gotta live with it. And it was an experience. But so he was back now, okay? This couple that I was counseling, they came. I said, I can't do that. What do you mean you're the pastor? No, I'm not. I'm back to my position. The pastor's back. Now, if he tells me he wants me to do it, then I do it. I said, but no, I'm not going to. So I called him up. I said, we got a situation here. I said, so first he said, well, why not? Then I explained to him. I said, now, if I did that, other people would say, we'll go to him and not you. I'm back where I belong. You're there. Even though you know I wouldn't undermine you, but other people don't. So he said, no, I learned something after all them years. Now, though, I want you to counsel him. I said, well, you call him up and tell him that. See, so we have to respect our leadership. It's no competition. It's where God put you, that's where you'll be.
Yes, yes.
So it was a good relationship. He would be, when I'd preach a sermon, we'd meet, he'd tell me my shortcomings in it and etc. Then one day he reversed it. I want you to tell me how I did. Oh, I can't do that. I said, yes, you can. I want you to be honest. So that's the relationship we had.
Right. And I remember when I first came to Rhode Island, he was over affirmative action at U.R.I. So he was the first person I talked to.
Oh, Cap Smith, you mean? Oh, yes. Yes, that's right.
And I understand, if I'm correct, I think he recruited a lot of people from First Church who were working on the U.R.I. campus, too.
He sure did. Got a lot of them. I would say at least 70% of them. Yeah, he did a lot.
He did. Yeah. He did.
Shariba worked hard, too.
Oh, she was wonderful. Very talented.
They gave her a hard time, too. I just want to say.
They did. Oh, yeah. They did.
Awful. But maybe you can help me with this, Dr. Gilton. Why do our own people persecute us? I don't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really don't. Boy. But anyway, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Always.
And there always will be.
Yeah.
But we got a generation to educate them or something.
Oh, we do. We do.
Boy. But I'll be 80 years old. I'm still going to fight till the finish.
Right. And, stay on the battlefield until the end.
That's it.
Okay. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I've covered it pretty well.
Okay.
And, I appreciate the opportunity. And I just want you to know before I sign off, I have high respect for you. I always have.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I came up when you got your doctorate there at U.R.I. That was a wonderful time. And so if you ever need me, call me. Okay?
Okay, I'll do that. And thank you so much for your participation.
You're welcome.